friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here for another Monday this and that video where I just talk about whatever, sometimes answering questions, giving you updates such as garden updates and whatever else, or updates on things that I made for the first time and letting you know what I think about it, and whatever else strikes my fancy. So let's get to the topics of today. And I'm going to go ahead and start off with the lemon balm vinegar because this is, I already have some put in a spray bottle. You can see a picture of it here. And so after I filled up my spray bottle for the cleaning vinegar, since it was almost empty anyway, timing was perfect, I went ahead and just put it in this jar for storage, the rest of it. So you can see what the color looks like. It's kind of a very pale greenish yellow, which is okay. I wouldn't say it's the most beautiful vinegar I've made, but I wanted to give you the update because it was the first time I made lemon balm vinegar and I wanted to give it a try. Now I may do it again since I get plenty of lemon balm. My purpose of making it was to be a cleaning vinegar, but I also thought, well, if I really like the flavor though, I'll probably use it for food. Now, while it does have a nice aroma, and I think it's going to be a great cleaning vinegar, the flavor seemed to have a slight bitter taste to it. That is not something I would really want to use in anything food related, be it pickling or sauteing or just whatever. So I'm just going to go ahead and use it as planned. So that's my update on that. And every year I usually try to do a new type of vinegar. Now someone had told me I should take my chocolate mint and make a vinegar out of that. Now I have made a peppermint vinegar before. In fact, I did a video on it when I was first trying it years ago. It was like 7 or 8 years ago I did that. I did a peppermint vinegar that day because I get so much peppermint. And I also did one, it was back when we still had our cedar tree, made one with cedar. And both turned out really good. However, neither one of those are something I would want to use like in cooking and stuff. I could only see that being something I would use more for cleaning. And the taste was good for the peppermint. It's just that it's not something I could see me using, like adding to my yeast spreads and various other things I like to add vinegar to. So what I did do was I used that to make a medicinal extract. I don't remember which kind. But to me, my peppermint, my chocolate mint, even though I get a lot, they are just too precious for me to make for teas. And I put up a lot to get us through a couple of years, just in case for some reason my peppermint or my chocolate mint do not do so well from year to year. And that can happen with herbs. And it doesn't matter how explosive they are in the way they grow and how invasive they can be. Anything can happen, such as your chickens get into your chocolate mint patch and dig a bunch of it up, or you have other plants that take off and end up crowding out some of your mints and you realize it a little bit too late and now you don't have as much as that. And I've had that happen off and on through the years. So I always like to put up a lot because our favorite tea is the mint teas, the peppermint and the chocolate mint. I usually just mix them together anyway because they're very, very similar. There's only with the chocolate mint a very slight chocolate flavor. Other than that, it looks and tastes like peppermint. And it's funny because I posted this image of adding the chocolate mint to my coffee, and I just called it chocolate mint coffee, and so somebody assumed it was just a sprig of regular peppermint and that I added a chocolate flavor. It's like, no, it's actually chocolate mint. I harvested from the garden and added to my coffee in the morning. I like to do that some days when it's coming in fresh. I just love that. But regardless of all that I just said, when it comes to making vinegar, it's totally up to you what you can make it out of. You can make your vinegar out of anything you have in excess. Typically that's all I do is I either use scraps from fruits that I've bought or grow and I've cut up, and I'm just using the skins and cores and whatever pits to make vinegar, like with peaches and mangoes and even dragon fruit. To get the most out of that, especially if it's something I paid a lot for, like dragon fruit and mangoes. But like mojito mint makes also a very good vinegar, and I get far more mojito mint than any other mint. That one goes absolutely crazy, but I don't like it as much for a tea as I do my peppermint. So I've made a very good mojito mint tea, vinegar, but what I found is mixing mojito mint and banana peel together, it makes a really great vinegar that doesn't taste at all like mint, but rather, oddly enough, tastes like lemon juice, like the real lemon juice you buy off the shelf. It's crazy. So that would be a good vinegar to use as a lemon juice replacement. So I'm always experimenting just for that sake alone. But if you have a lot of chocolate mint and it's not important to you to put up a bunch to get you through a few years, sure, go ahead and try making some vinegar out of it and see what you think of the results. Now, the chick update. So out of the 12 eggs, 11 of them ended up being fertilized, and one of them sadly didn't make it, but we still ended up with 10 chicks. All of my chicks, I high graded all those eggs, so I only took them from Buff Orpingtons, and I took at least one from Isabella, whose mom is a Buff Orpington and her dad is Antonio. That's one thing about doing the eggs for yourself, is that you can pick the eggs you want from the chickens you want. And since my Buff Orpingtons have been the best chickens I've ever had so far, and then Antonio is a big, beautiful, very, very good rooster, I wanted to see what kind of chickens I could get. Now, so far I've only got 2 hens from him. And the first one was Guinevere, who's a mix of an olive egger and Antonio. And she's a pretty good hen. I'm pretty pleased with her. Because she lays olive eggs, she doesn't lay as frequently as a Buff Orpington. But the second hen I got was from Claire and from Antonio, and she's a great hen already. She's only like 6 months old, but she's been laying. Then she went broody. I've never seen a hen go broody that soon. She's actually right in the middle of her broody stage right now. And I'm just kind of letting her go ahead and work through it, since she still seems to be very healthy. But she's the size of a Buff Orpington. She's fluffy like a Buff Orpington. And I think she's going to be a very good chicken, very well behaved, very mild mannered, like the rest of the Buff Orpingtons. So I'm hoping I'll get very similar results out of any hens I get from this batch. So we'll see. So out of the chickens I have, I know it's like there's certain chickens that I've decided I will not have any more of these particular types of chickens. It's not worth it. I'm going to stick with what I know, and I'm going to breed my own stock. And on top of that, we couldn't get any chickens locally this time around. Our town could not get any little chicks in. So, okay, I'll go ahead and hatch out my own again. And I think it's worth it that way. But anyway, they're all healthy. They're doing great. They're all various colors, as you can see in the clip that I put. I'll put it again here. Even though they're all from Buff Orpingtons and from Antonio, they came out with, because of Antonio, they all came out with various shades of coloring. And I've already seen some of them developing some darker colors within their wings. So it'll be interesting to see how they turn out. I'm very excited about this upcoming year as far as that goes. One question, or I should say one type of question I get asked a lot, is people will ask me, what's the best herb for this or that or the other thing? And I'm going to say this again because it's really important that you understand that I cannot tell you what's going to be best for you. I can give you a list of herbs. And in fact, I have, like, one question I get a lot is, what are the best herbs for urinary tract infections? And that would be any antibiotic herb. And so I did a more recent video on antibiotic herbs and more that I'll link to in the description box down below. And I don't know that dandelion is included in that, but dandelion, being a natural diuretic, would also help. And it's just excellent for your health anyway. And so in this case, though, when you're talking about urinary tract infections or bladder infections, anything that can get you to go to the bathroom a lot and flush things out is going to be very good. So if you're taking the herbs that you know you can handle, you're not allergic to, you're not going to have any side effects because you're taking this certain medication because you've done your own research, I suggest making teas out of that herb or those herbs. Maybe mix it up. It's always a good idea to mix it up anyway. Like maybe do a ginger tea here and a peppermint tea there or whatever. And then, yeah, drink as much tea as you can, because not only is the herb going to help, the tea, just the hot tea and the flushing out your system is going to help a lot too. But anyway, just like anything, I do put lists together of herbs and more that can help with various ailments. I always have more that I can be working on, but I have a pretty extensive playlist just where I've done these lists. And not only do I read them off in the video and give a few suggestions, I also type up the list and then put the link to the written list in the description box under each one of those videos, so that you can just go to that link, copy and paste it into your own file, so that now you have that list right in front of you. But again, let me come back to the fact that what works best for one person is not necessarily going to work best for you. So to tell anyone this is the best herb is really not a proper approach. And this is where your own personal research has to come into play, because you know what your allergies are. You should know. You know what kind of medications you may be on or other health issues where these different herbs could possibly cause an issue. So that's why, if you're unfamiliar to any herb and you've never used it before, look into that. Now, if you'd like to learn more about how to go about that, because sometimes it's hard to know where to start, I did a video several years back on how to do your own research, which I'll also link to in the description box down below. So don't forget to click on more or show more. It depends on if you're watching on Rumble or YouTube, and that'll open the description box so you can find those links and go directly to them that way and just learn more about that. And if you go to that playlist, you can scroll through there and see what videos I have, like herbs and more for diabetes, for high cholesterol, skin health, hair health, and so much more. Now, with that said about Rumble and YouTube, I had a video that came out recently where I was talking about the frustrating YouTube algorithms, which since that video came out, things have gotten even worse for my channel on YouTube. However, it doesn't, at this point, it still doesn't matter how bad it gets on YouTube as far as, you know, my revenue gain and all the things that they're doing, you know, the weird algorithm changes that they've made that have caused issues all the way across the board for people. I still do better on YouTube. Rumble is dropping as well. And now I'm down to making an average of about 35, 40 cents a day. And I can make as little as 7 cents a day for the work that goes over there, which is why I stopped taking the extra time to gather the Rumble links so you can look them up yourself. But I get a question sometimes where people ask, well, I have both Rumble and YouTube, and I don't mind using either. For a lot of people, YouTube's just easier for them to use anyway. So people ask me, where would you rather I watch your videos? And I say, please, if you don't mind, please watch on YouTube, because YouTube is far better pay than Rumble can ever be. It doesn't matter how many views I get on a video on Rumble. I will get maybe a couple more cents a day if I get twice as many views on a video there than I normally would on those videos. But it's really sad. It's really sad to put in that extra work to get my videos over there, to fill in, you know, copy and paste the information into the description box and set the date and all that. It doesn't take a super long time, but it's still extra work that's hardly worth the time that goes in it. The only reason I keep doing it is so that people can still have access to those videos if something happens to YouTube. Also, so I have a place where I can put videos that are not allowed on YouTube, and also for the sake of those few people that absolutely hate YouTube and will only watch through Rumble. But if you're not one of those people and you don't mind watching on YouTube, it is most preferable to all content creators that you watch their stuff, whatever's available on YouTube, because they just pay better, even with everything they've done to reduce our pay down to 25% of what we once used to make. It's still better than Rumble by far. Now, another thing is that I knew that Superb, I was talking about the Superb brand lids. I'd only recently learned that they were making the jars, so my video last week was more focused on the lids, never tried the jars. And I knew that once they got the affiliate set up that they were going to send me some lids, which is cool. They sent me a crud load of lids. I'll never ever need to buy lids again. Between those and the Tatler lids I have, I'll never need to buy lids. But what they also sent me were their jars, their canning jars. And guess what? The canning jars are all made in the US, just like their lids, and always have been. Well, I don't know how long they've been making the jars. It can't be very long. But anyway, they sent me a case of the regular mouth pint jars and the wide mouth quart jars. Now you can see that they're very simple. There's really no printing on them, no designs. Some people may like that very simple, clean look of those, as opposed to the jars that have the, stuff like the ball where you've got the decor, you got the Balm name, which personally I do prefer that. I just like that look. But there are things I do like having a nice, clean looking jar. And since I'm really not even sure anymore where the ball and cur jars are made, and unfortunately, as much as I really like the look of the Azure Standard jars, those are made in China, and it clearly states that. Unlike 4Jar's lids that tries to hide the fact that they're made in China, at least the Azure Standard jars, it's right there on the box. It's right there in the description if you go to the website. And there could be it could be simply because they don't have a factory set up here in the States, because it costs a lot of money to do that, to make the jars. And where Superb, they already kind of had a lot of infrastructure in place, so this makes it easier for them to delve into making the lids and then into the jars. They already had their own factories for other things. So at any rate, I just wanted to let you know that. I haven't tried canning with them because they only just came in yesterday, but I will be canning with some this year, so I can at least do an update on what I think about the jars. I feel pretty certain they're going to work just as well as any other canning jar that I've ever used. And then one more thing I wanted to say is really more of a reminder that if you're going to email me, which you're welcome to email me, you can ask for a product list, you can whatever, you can ask me questions. That's why my email address is always available in the description box, and you'll see it right here as well. Please know that if you're emailing me from your phone, it's really best if you use an email app rather than doing a text message to email. The problem with that is a lot of times it comes as a separate attachment, and also it doesn't tell me who you are unless you specifically say, and it doesn't give me an email address to reply to. Sometimes when I reply to messages like that, they never go through, because I'm trying to send it directly to your phone rather than to an email address. So if you have to, that's the only way you have to send me an email, please make sure you include your email address and your name, so at least I know who I'm talking to. Especially when it comes to sending a product list, those never go through if I try to send it in response to something like that. And so when those messages come in, they come in as a phone number at your cell phone provider. And it's not actually a real email address. So there's that. And then the other thing in regards to messaging, if you want to make sure I'm getting your message, do not send it to my social media sites, because some sites I'm very rarely on, like I'm very rarely in my Facebook account for Rain Country Homestead. If it's Instagram and you've never interacted with me on there before, it might go into a request folder. I don't get notifications for that, and I maybe once every couple months I might think to go check and see if there's anything in there, which a lot of times is just junk. I don't even know if I have messages available on X. So email is always the best way if you want to be certain that I'm going to actually get it. Unless, of course, you send it to the wrong email address. Some people forget to add the R in Rain Country Homestead. And so it goes, they send it to Rain County Homestead, and nope, that's not going to get to me. So I'll never see it. Anyway, so I just wanted to get that out there, just a reminder. And that's my this and that for the week. So I hope you enjoyed it. Any thoughts, ideas, please put them in comments down below, or just say hi if you want, because those comments do help get us boosted in the algorithms. And thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.